Hello, I'm going to be talking about how to create the name project in Photoshop. So I'm going to be making something kind of like this. So you're going to have your name first and last, and class of, and whatever the class is. 1992 for me because I am older than dirt. But it definitely won't be that. Definitely won't be that number for you. So this is what I started with a document. So I had went to File, New, and 8.5 by 11, 300 ppi. Okay. So I created that document, and then to start off, I didn't want to start with a plain white document. That would be really boring. So use your paint bucket tool. Yours might be in a different place, but hopefully you remember what it looks like. I selected a color, and then I just dropped that color into my background layer there. So that's what I'm starting off with. So this by itself would be pretty boring, and I want you to go beyond just entering your name on a plain old background. Okay, we're shooting for something a little more than that. So I have my background layer, and I added a new layer, and that's what I'm going to start working on. I've also selected a color here and brush, okay, because I'm going to be painting. So I have a soft round. That's what I'm using here. It's a pretty good size. And I have the opacity down. It's at 50% because I just like it to look a little soft, right? So I'm going to show you something a little different than just, free painting all over the background there. I'm going to use this little symmetry tool here. This is going to help guide your brush. So if you look, I'm going to hit cancel. So I'll show you there's different options: radial, parallel lines, wavy, etc., etc. I chose mandala. That's what I used last time. And when I select that, this shows up. Okay. So I'm going to kind of try and center this nicely, make it bigger. That looks pretty good. Okay, and this is a guide. That's what this is. So then when I take my brush, I'm going to start at the top and it goes just like that towards the center, and creates this sort of mandala effect. I want to get rid of those little blue lines. I can hit hide symmetry and make that go away. So this would still be kind of boring on its own. But what I can do, I can go in here. Let me see my brushes. And I'm going to pick like a smudging brush. It's something I used before. Wet blender. I'm not even sure what that does, but it sounds interesting. Let's make that bigger. Strength is kind of strong. Maybe we'll take that down. And we're going to get this message. I'm going to say, okay, whatever. Whoa, that's really big. Okay. Not quite what I was going for. So I'm going to make that smaller, and I'm definitely taking the strength down. And I'm just going to try again. Okay, a little better. So a lot of what you do is going to be, of course, trial and error. And that's what we're here for, right? Because we're just testing and trying things out. So this is one of the things you could try out, especially if you've never used these different tools or brushes before. Okay, so I'm just going for more of this smudgy kind of look. There we go. It's kind of like a snowflake, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just dragging. The smudging brushes don't lay color down. They just smoosh around the color that's already on your document, which you've already laid down on that layer that you're smooshing. Kind of like the way that sounds. Right, so that looks way cooler, right? Yes, of course it does. It looks great. I'm talking to myself now that I don't have any students to talk to in person. So I'm losing my mind. So, okay, so we could try some different things. Layer style. I could test some of these things out. What does inner shadow look like? I don't know. We could see, what does it look like? Adjust these different things. Okay, that's kind of cool. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. So that's one of the things you can play with. You can always go to filters. We've used those before. Go to filter gallery and test some of the different things you want to try. When I made this one, I layered two of the mandalas on top of each other. That's why I got these different bursts here. You can change the colors up. So there's lots of different things you can do and add. You can paint on top of this. Basically, what I don't want you to do is just turn in like, a boring solid color project. Okay, so I really want you to play around with something new, kind of playing around with your background, make it interesting. You can put some different shapes in there, try different effects, something to make it interesting. Okay, so whenever you have it the way you want it, what you can do is go to text. That's how you're going to be adding your name. You can go over here to the T. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can also hit T on your keyboard. Either way, you're going to come to text. So that's not what's going to show up. I can go up here and start looking at fonts, right? I have lots of options. Woohoo! Look at all these fonts. So you're going to be required to try out at least 2 different fonts. You can see them showing up here. So let's say Copperplate. That's a pretty popular one. And you know what? It's going to have to be darker. Okay. Alright, get rid of this layer. I don't know why I end up without keeping that in there. Okay. So, Carrie. So my first name. There's different things I can do. Instead of having it stay straight across, maybe that's not what you want to do. You don't want your name just stuck there like that. I can go up here. You can see the T that looks like it's standing on top of a hill. Okay. And there's different things I can do with this. So you can make a wave, move this over so you can see, can play around with the bend, bend 109, however much you want it to bend. Let's cancel that. I can, make it arc. I can make it bulge, like fisheye. I don't even know what that would look like. Whoa. So I don't think that really fits the background here. So you can keep trying different stuff. But there's things you can do besides twist is probably really crazy. Besides just having it, go straight across the page there. Let's see. What I did before was arc lower and arc upper. Fish. Weird. Let's do a little bit of an arc. You can adjust how much it arcs. You can hit OK. I can move that to where I want it to be. Okay, so let's say I want it to be there. So you can notice that I have a text layer here. So it created another layer for that text that I just entered. All right, so I'm going to hit T. Let's see, I'm going to go to text again. And I know this is a dark blue. It almost looks like it's black, doesn't it? Okay. So maybe I want that to arc lower and just a little, kind of to match what I have the other one as. Okay. I'm going to move this over here. And that's just how I decided to put it. But of course you can do whatever you want. Also, so this is the horizontal type tool we're using. But there is also a vertical type tool. If you want your type to go up and down, that's another option. I'm just using the horizontal. Okay? So then when I want to add class of the Dark Ages, I'm going to pick a different font because remember I'm asking you to try out 2 different fonts. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try that one. Okay? And maybe I'll even change the color a little bit. Maybe this will be a little more blue. How does that look? Okay. Class of 1992. Okay. Okay, have that layer there. So I don't really like where that is. So I use the move tool. And when you're trying to move your text around, make sure on the right layer, because there's a layer for Carrie, a layer for Beagler, and then a layer for Class of 1992. You could put your text on the same layer, but if you want to move things around and warp them in different ways, I just kind of like the convenience of having them on different layers. Okay, so I don't think this is necessarily all that exciting, but for the sake of getting you started on what you can start experimenting with, because that's sort of what this is supposed to be. We're just really experimenting with the different text options. I want you to take a look at the different text samples that are here. That's why I'm asking you to use 2 of them to kind of play around with what they look like, and playing around with the warping of the text, which you probably haven't done before, with this little T on top of the hill. Playing around with the size, color, and also with different things you can do in your background. So it doesn't have to be something, that you would want to put on a business card or a poster, but it is definitely, should show that you are just, trying out some new things, okay? Trying out using the text tool, okay? All right. If you have any questions, let me know.